largest commercial real estate services and investment firm, popping on a first quarter earnings beat. In its release this morning, the company said it has more than $3 billion in total liquidity, including some credit lines, but it is also withdrawing guidance for 2020 in light of the uncertainty caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Here for a CNBC exclusive is Bob Sulentic. He's the CEO and president of CBRE, and he joins us by one of those platforms that we can't even understand, but we're glad you're here, Mr. Sulentic. A pretty nice first quarter, but the rest of the year must look awfully murky across your various segments: office buildings, retail, industrial, and apartments. Talk to me.
Tyler, we had a very good start to the year through mid-March, and then we did see the effects of COVID-19 come into our business, cause transactions to slow down, caused some sales of some assets we developed to slow down. But we were actually running ahead of where we thought we would be when we got to mid-March, and we were quite happy with the way the first quarter turned out. Of course, there's a lot of uncertainty now until we get to the other side of this COVID-19 circumstance.
So let's take your various segments of business sort of one at a time, starting with office space. Is the use of office space going to ever be what it was before COVID-19? You see some companies like Barclays and other big employers saying, we just don't expect to have the same number of people in our offices going forward. What do you say?
Tyler, we're in touch very closely with, and in fact advise, a high percentage of the large office occupiers around the U.S. and around the world. And here's what we know from our conversations with them. They are going to look for ways in the future beyond COVID-19 to work more from home. They also virtually all expect to go back to the office to some degree. So what we're going to see is the following, we believe. We're going to see mechanisms evolve that allow employees to work from home effectively, and there's a lot of that going on now. And then we're going to see an ability to go into the office to collaborate and so forth. People are going to be more spread out. Space is going to be less densely used. We're going to have to see what that means for office space. There's going to be a lot of change. I will say when there's change in the use of space, it has generally been very good for our company because it creates opportunities to advise our clients, do project work, so forth. The use of office space will continue to be an important part of the business world, though.
Bob, I know you don't have a crystal ball, none of us do, but in terms of your best guess as to when you'll get a good sense to when tenants are renegotiating their leases, if they're asking for lower terms, when will you start seeing that? I imagine that you've seen some of that already. When do you think the brunt of that will happen?
I really think, Melissa, it's going to happen in a way that provides real insight once we feel pretty confident we're to the other side of COVID-19 and people start going back to work and figuring out, with the clear-eyed view of, okay, now we're also back in the office space and we have some people working from home. And what does it mean? How does it work spread between the two? In the interim, I think you'll see people extend their leases. I think in the interim, you'll see people use some co-working facilities, but oriented towards suites, not open space like some of the co-working is now. But we're going to have to get to the other side of this before people feel comfortable making real long-term commitments and decisions about how space will be used.
I'm not sure we're going to get to industrial and apartment buildings, but I do want to get to retail and what's going on there, what you're hearing from your customers there. Retailers often run on a very fine margin. How have you been working with them? What do you expect over the next 6 months on this day when Neiman Marcus, the famed Neiman Marcus, files for bankruptcy? What are you hearing? What are you doing with those retailers who may be in distress?
One of the most common questions I get and we get is what's going to happen in retail. I start by saying retail is not going away. That's for sure. Prior to COVID-19, still something like 85% of retail is bricks and mortars. Human beings want places to go. They want restaurants, shops, places to get their hair cut, places to work out, etc. Grocery stores are one of the great places for people to go right now, but it is going to change for sure. as it always has over the decades. We went from downtowns to malls to big box retail to e-commerce. It's going to keep changing. There's going to be some losers because of COVID-19, some difficult circumstances, but there's going to be a return to physical retail, and there's going to be some opportunity created as a result of that, and there's also going to be some challenges to be dealt with.
Well, Bob, thank you very much. And you got at least one thing right. For me, going to the grocery store is a big day these days. It's a happy-making day. Bob Sulentic of CBRE, we wish you the best. Thanks so much. Melissa.
All right, Tyler.